Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to Diary of an Olympic Triathlete, or welcome if it's your first time watching this series. Today we are in week 20 of this video series, week 20, which is pretty crazy. I feel like I say this every time I make one of these videos. It's like, wow, it's crazy how many weeks we've done. But like, it is crazy. We've done 20 weeks of this. Um, but yeah, here we are, week 20 of Diary of an Olympic Triathlete, and have some updates on the fitness end of things. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about what the future is looking like. The update is I'm injured, so that's fun. Fortunately, it's not as bad, remotely as bad as the finger injury was. I'm not going to be out of training for very long, and I can still do quite a few types of training. I was actually funny enough watching today. I was watching back on the videos in this series that I recorded while I was injured, like just before I started recording this, just to kind of remember where my head was at. And it was not a fun place to be at because it was very like I had very few options. It was a lot of, just kind of accepting losses and then trying to figure out what was the best way to replace them. But it was just my brain was not in a good place. Like my mind was not in a good place. I think I looked pretty positive on camera, and I was in some aspects, but also there were definitely a lot of parts of me that were really not in a good headspace. Like when the camera was off, I was not feeling too great about the whole situation. Unfortunately, it improved a lot quicker than I expected it to, but it was still hard. It's still hard for a little while. Now, this injury that I have right now is not too bad. It's a calf injury. Basically, I've had some calf soreness for the past few weeks. That includes the Alaska trip where I was like not training. I didn't really mention it. I don't think I mentioned it last week. Or I might have. No, I did because I was having a sore calf, but I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do about it type of thing. And so I did run the race that I mentioned in last week's DOT episode. Um, and that is the last time I've run because since then, basically, I've determined that I have this calf injury. It looks pretty persistent. Like I was noticing day by day, it was kind of staying the same. So I was like, and I remember I made the call on Saturday because I was going up at another short trip I was doing with my family, and my plan for Saturday was to do a long run. And the only run I'd done up to this point, well, I'd done two since being back from Alaska, and those two were the short run I'd done, just like to kind of warm myself back into things, and then the race. And I was like, all right, I've done two runs. My calf feels quite sore just walking around. It was feeling sore. And I was like, running 5 to 6 miles right now is not a good idea. So I decided instead to replace that with a swim. We were by a lake, so I did an open water swim there, which was very fun. But yeah, that meant I didn't run. And I just kind of decided like I need to baby this injury. My policy with injuries is you got to baby them. Don't push through them. Because that's how they get worse. And if you want longevity in both in sport and in life, you need to not push yourself beyond your limits. And I knew that if I didn't take, some time to rest and let this heal, it was going to keep being a problem. Because, if I would go for a run, it would feel fine during the run, but then afterwards it would get more sore than it had been previously. And then, the next day it would come back and it would still be the same. And then I would even take a couple rest days and do like a couple of cross training days, and it would still be there. So I was like, it really needs time where there's no impact for my calf to heal. And it's my left calf. But I need time for my left calf to be able to heal because I've had this situation with my dad where my dad has a couple of injuries. He actually does. He also has a calf injury like me, except this calf injury he's had for a very extended period of time. He's had it for, I want to say 6 months at this point. And so like we'll go out to train and pretty regularly he'll bring it up. He's like, yeah, my calf's kind of hurting, or we'll maybe not do a race or not do a certain, interval session because like, yeah, but I don't want that to affect my calf. It's not feeling great. And it is the kind of thing where I'm like, if he took a full like week or two off and came back, he would be perfectly fine. Like this calf could recover. The problem is that even when I've told him, like I've been like, hey, I think it'd be a good idea if you took, a week off, he'll still go out for runs. Like he might do a little bit more biking, but he still keeps doing runs. And like that impact, even if it's like a light 2-3 mile run, that puts stress on the muscle. And so you're going in the wrong direction every time you do a run if you're trying to recover muscles, like injured muscles. So that's kind of I've seen his situation, and I'm like, I don't want that to be me, because especially I'm looking towards the future and I have plans to, like, I want to do other races. Um, and so I'm taking this week off. So I did the race on Wednesday. Ever since then, have not run. This week has been entirely focused on swims and bikes. Yesterday, I did a pretty hard swim. I did what they call a critical swim test, or a critical swim speed test. Sorry, a CSS test for short. And that's basically you do, a good warm up, and then actually you do like some intervals and, like, some good stuff to get you really warm, and also like use up some of your anaerobic energy. So that way you're doing your sets fully aerobically, and then you do a set that's 400 time trial, rest, and then a 200 time trial, and that basically determines what is your threshold for swimming. Because running, you have your threshold, your kind of your lactate threshold. That's defined the same in swimming. Like, what's the speed you can go at that's sustainable but difficult. So I did that. I did that test, and it also just served as a really good workout. My plan is to do a similar test on the bike, what they call a functional threshold power test. Because on the bike, I really don't feel pain in the calf. It's only when I'm running, or if I've been walking a lot, like, that's been putting a lot of impact. But it's just things that put impact on it, like using, going in the pool or getting on the bike. I haven't noticed any pain. So that's kind of the plan, is just to keep working on different, doing different cross training. Tomorrow I'm going to do a light bike and a light swim is the plan. So, like, start with an easy swim, then do an easy bike. And then, well, actually, no, tomorrow I'm just going to do a bike. And then I'll do the day after that, I'll do the functional threshold power test on the bike, which is like a tempo bike session. And then the day after, I'm going to do a swim and then a bike. But yeah, just doing things that keep things nice and light. There's still good cardio, especially the hard swim, the hard bike. It's good cardio, but keeping that impact on the muscles as low as possible, because running is definitely a high impact activity. So keeping that impact down. And then Sunday, I'm going to do a test. I'm going to go for a nice easy run. If I'm not feeling any pain, then we're good to go, green light. And, in a logical manner, we're going to start ramping training back up, because so I have short-term and long-term goals when it comes to the running. And well, before I get into that, I'll resume the race from last week. So the only time I've run in the last week was last Wednesday, which was I did the cross-country race I told you guys about, which was quite fun. And I think I mentioned this in the video, but in case I didn't, in last week's video, but in case I didn't, I was running that race to race it. I was trying to beat people. I was not really going for time, because it was on a cross-country course. It was a hilly course. So I had kind of duels with different people at different points in the race. I especially had one guy that early in the race, he tried to pass me, and I didn't let him pass me. I kind of ran even with him, because he was going at like a quite a good tempo. So I just kept up with him, and then I ended up later leaving him in the dust. I just kind of tried to speed up to make him fall back. You gotta put the hurt on them, as they say. So I tried to do that, but that really gassed me out, because I was like a good quarter mile that we were kind of running together, and like, I was staying even with him, and then I pushed ahead. So I was pretty gassed out. He ended up passing me, but then later, finally, at the end of the race, I passed him back, and I did beat him at the end. And I came in 57th out of 128 people. So I'm pretty happy with the results of that race. That was quite a good race, I would say. My time was not spectacular, but I was okay with it. Mainly, it was just I had a good time. It was a fun race. I was there with my dad and my brother, which was really cool. And my brother, he's a cross country runner too, and he runs at the middle school level. We were on a middle school cross country course. It was a 3K 3-kilometer course. So he was right in his element there too. So he had quite a good time. My dad seemed to have a good time. So they both got age group awards too. I didn't, because my age group is always really hard. I'm always in like the 20 to 29 or the 20 to 30 or 20 to 40. Basically I'm in the group with all the really good runners. So I did not win any prizes, any age group prizes or any prizes. But it was a fun race to run in. Anyway, but yeah, that was the last time I ran, because after that, the next day I was feeling, I'd say, pretty sore. and I've just been really taking care to not do anything crazy with my calf, keeping the impact low, keeping the stress low, plenty of rest days, going light. I don't know. This week I've really not wanted to take rest days. Like I had to force myself today, Wednesday, to be like, today is a rest day because I initially Tuesday is normally my rest day, but then on Monday I got home from the trip that my family was taking, and I was like, damn, I really just want to do the critical swim speed test tomorrow. Like I just want to go and I want to go and do it. I don't want to have to wait all of Tuesday to then do it on Wednesday. So then I got up, and I went and I did the test. So or I did in the afternoon, I guess. So exaggeration, but I got up Tuesday and I was like, yeah, I want to do this. So later that afternoon, had some things in the morning, but the afternoon I went to the pool and did that workout. So anyway, now let's talk a little bit plans for the future now. What are things shaping up to look like? So with the injury, I'm not letting that affect things too much. It does mean that, things are already looking tight to do my mile time trial. They've gotten tighter, but my plans are going to stay the same. My plan is this, that I want to do the time trial at the end of August. I'm still going to do it at the end of August. That's the plan. Now, the 5K, I might not. My plan was to kind of double up, do mile time trial at the end of August, and then a 5K as well a few days later. Because that way I'd be at peak fitness. I'd be at, why did I say peak so weird? I'd be at peak fitness. I'd have tapered for the race. And so I just do the time trial, do like a little, easy swim, shakeout run, and then the 5K, a couple days later. So, I could still do that, but I'm going to prioritize the mile. The 5K, I can always do the 5K when I'm off in Spain, so I'm going to leave that as a lower priority thing. So anyway, but once, if the test on Sunday goes well, if I do the run and it feels good, then I'll, a couple days later, I'll do a little tempo and then, keep doing the easy swims, do an interval session, do a long run. If the calf's feeling good, keep ramping up that training volume and hopefully be able to get into a good fitness point to be able to run, a mile in 6 minutes, hopefully, or at least get as close as possible. At this point, I don't know if 6-minute mile is going to be attainable, but I think it's at least within reason. Obviously, an injury is not ideal, but also, I can always come back and try it at another point in time. So I don't want to be too stressed about it. And, my fitness is only going to go up from here. I'm going to take a short little while. Once I get to Spain, I'll take a couple weeks off and then on to my next thing. And I don't know if I mentioned what that next thing is going to be. I'll talk about it now. I'm going to be doing a half marathon. So I'll be training for that. My fitness, once I finish the half marathon, is going to be really high. So then obviously I could attempt the mile as well after that. But my focus is going to be on the half marathon. Obviously, half marathon fitness, though, is different. It's more distance related. But yeah, so that's the plan. I'll be doing the Malaga half marathon, which is in December. And I have a group that I'm doing that marathon with, some people that have kind of organized a trip that I'm going with them to do it. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to, be able to run the marathon or run the half marathon. I've been to Malaga before, and it's a beautiful city. I really enjoyed being there. It has a lot of really cool stuff. So, of course, being able to run around there, explore the city, the conditions are going to be quite nice. And I think also I'm going to be doing it as I start college. I'll be starting, and my plan is give myself 2 weeks of just adaptation time in Spain and then start training, and I'll have about 12 weeks to train for it. And I think that's enough. I think, with the Olympic triathlon that started this series, I gave myself too much time almost because I had a huge buildup. And I think I don't know. I felt at the time like it wasn't enough, but it definitely was to properly prepare me for that distance. I think I would have been okay. And for the half marathon, as long as my mileage is looking good, I'm staying on my feet. I'm doing good runs. I should be able to build up, and I need to be able to do a 10-minute or a 10-mile long run before the race. That's my goal, and with a couple of pickups in there, a couple of miles that I'm doing at my half marathon pace. As long as I can do that, I'm set. I think that's a good preparation. Then, of course, doing plenty of runs in there, plenty of shorter runs, and also I want to do some swims in there. My goal is to also there's a swim run event that's in November that I would like to do, which is, doing swimming and running. So I think this would be nice because a triathlon would be cool to throw in the middle there. Like watching back on my old videos, I was like, dang, triathlons are fun. I kind of forgot about that. Like it's been months since I've done one. The last one I did was 6 months ago almost. So obviously I would like to do another triathlon, but the opportunity is just going to be difficult because it's going to be hard for me to train 3 sports at one time being in Spain. Also getting a bike there is going to be difficult. So just all that, and I do want to focus on the half marathon because then later I'd like to build up to a marathon, in 2025, but we're leaving plenty of time there. And also after the half marathon with my fitness, my plan is I'm going to take an off season at that point because I deserve it. I've not had like a proper running off season, since last year. Like I started running in December. I pretty much haven't taken an off season. I mean, I had an involuntary one in April with my injury, but even then I was walking. I was still very training minded. I just need like a couple weeks that are zero training whatsoever, nothing planned. Like if I want to go out for a walk or go out for a swim, do it, but like nothing is, mandatory. So I want to have, a proper month of that and then reevaluate. And I'll have good half marathon fitness. So if I want to, at that point, start a build up for a marathon or start a build up for an Olympic triathlon or even half Ironman, I'd have many directions I could go in. Or, if I wanted to focus on shorter distances and do a 5K, or if I wanted to just like jog and chill, that's also, I don't know. I think for me, the jog and chill option is like, it works for intermediate increments. If I then have a later goal I'm going to, because I use running, I use it as like, obviously it's a good escape, but also it's good to have projects. It's always good to be working towards something. So, I like to always have at least a general goal in the distance. Like the mile, I've been kind of losing focus of that with the injury, and like I was in Alaska for 2 weeks and then I've been injured for like a week and a half. So it's been a proper month since I've been like in full mile training mode, and I just want to get back there. So, that's the goal over these next couple of weeks is just get back to that place. But yeah, it's difficult, different things happen. You have to go the punches, but I do like having a goal always kind of set forward, to look forward to. So, but yeah, right now it's going to be the mile. And then if I'm feeling really good, then I'm also going to go for the 5K because what the heck, you might as well try it, but the other plan is this, I'm not going to taper. Basically that's kind of how I see it is like, I'm keeping good fitness because I did a hard swim yesterday. I'm going to do a hard bike in a few days. Obviously it's cross training. It's not running, so it's not the same, but it's pretty close to the same. And I think that, I did the race last week, so I still have running fitness. Like I'm still in good shape. Obviously a week is not going to make you less fit. And, I was just reflecting on it. Like I tapered for the last mile race and it didn't go well. Like I did not get a good time, especially relative to my fitness level. Like all the other mile races I've done, I got good times relative to how fit I was when I ran those races versus that race. No, that race, I really hadn't, I really didn't get like, I ran a 6:34 and it felt too comfortable. It felt like I left at least 15 seconds on the board, because I just didn't set out hard enough. I didn't have good pacing, So there's a lot of errors, and I analyzed all that in my previous video. So if you guys want to hear about that, you can watch that one, but I'm sure you've had enough of my yapping already. Anyway, so, with this, like I was just thinking about it. I'm like, the races where I've gotten my best times were races where I came in rhythm. That's to say, they were BC races where I had not tapered at all. Like I took the day off before, and that's it. And everything else, which is normal. Like take the day off before you do a race, right? Or do maybe like an easy shakeout run, but don't do like a hard workout. But that's it. That's it. And I got like when I set my mile PB, that was at a race that was like a B race. I really not high priority, not even really high stress on it. I just kind of showed up and like obviously I was nervous when I was running it because I always kind of get nervous before these races, but I just ran my best. And that's it. The same went with the week before that. I just came in rhythm. My time trial, I just came in rhythm and just ran, and I ran a good race. I don't know, like that race, I just felt flat coming out of the gate, and I think part of that was I didn't execute the taper well, and I think that maybe for short distances, a taper might not be for me. They say because the same goes with the 5Ks. Like I don't know, I haven't tapered for 5K before, but I feel like I get reasonably good times on them. Like I got I had a 5K that I ran in 24:38, no taper. I think I did a shakeout run the day before or something, but like I just showed up and ran the race. Um, I think even I just rested the day before. So like I just showed up and ran, um, and just tried to do so in rhythm. So I think that might be for those shorter distances. That might be the method that I have to use. Obviously I do my interval sessions early in the week. So do whatever interval workout I have to do like on Monday, and then do the race on, a Saturday, a Sunday, so that there's time to recover. But otherwise keep doing your normal training, normal rest, normal volume of running. Because I don't know, like it just felt like it screwed with me a little bit. I think mentally also the idea of like, oh, I'm tapering. Also the taper wasn't even really that big of like all it was Monday I did a completely normal workout. I took Tuesday off, which I always do. Wednesday I just did a shorter run than I normally do. And then Thursday I did a shakeout run, which is what I would do in any circumstance. So really all I did was shorten my long run. So I don't know. Like, I don't know how much of an impact it had. And so I think, yeah, I'm just going to try to not overthink it. I think I did overthink it. And at the end, I barely ended up changing anything for my taper anyways. So I'm just going to, go out there, be doing regular training, regular hard interval sessions right up until the week of the race. And then, that week I'll do a hard interval session on Monday. The rest of the week, doing my regular stuff, maybe shorten the long run a little bit, do my regular swims, regular bikes, regular runs, and then get out there and do the mile time trial and, see what happens. If I could get a mile race in before the actual time trial, that would be nice, but I don't think I will be able to just because time is going to be a little short. But yeah, just no taper, and to see what happens because, yeah, those are the best races that I've run. Now, the best race I've ever done, I did do with a 3-day taper. It was a sprint triathlon where I set both my PB for 800 yards in the pool and also my PB for a 5K, both of which still stand to today. And I don't have like the PB for the bike distance, but it was 12 miles, and I'm sure I have not biked 12 miles faster than I did in that race. So, of course, it was all indoors, so that helps a little bit for some of the stuff. But like I set PBs and everything, and all I'd done to taper was I did an easier bike. The race, because let's see, the race was on a Sunday. I had a bike on Thursday that normally was like 70, 80 minutes. I did a 35-minute light bike. Took Friday off. Saturday I did just a 15-minute easy spin. That's it. And then Sunday I raced and I felt fresh. I came out hard. I came out relaxed in the swim. I gave it everything in the run, and I set PBs. So that was the best executed taper I've ever done, where I felt like genuinely energized and solid coming into it. And obviously for the half marathon, I'm going to taper. But yeah, the short distances, no taper. And then I'll take, the couple weeks off after that, just running whenever I feel like it, but nothing more. And then start half marathon training. But yeah, right now, you got to focus on every step of the process. And right now, the step of the process that we're in is the cross training. Don't do any running. Let this calf heal. That's what I'm focused on. And then, if I get the green light on Sunday, doing that run, and if I feel good doing it, then we're getting back into training and we're going to go forward. But yeah, the goal is let the calf heal, because otherwise, like, I could run. It's not such a bad pain that I couldn't run. I could absolutely run through it. And it doesn't seem to get much worse with each run that I do. So I could, in theory, just run, do all my easy runs, do my intervals. The calf would hurt, but it would be okay. And, once I warm up, it doesn't hurt too much. But then the problem is that I would, take the 2 weeks off, and probably it would be so damaged by, a month of just pounding, like it would be harder for it to heal. And so I don't think those 2 weeks would be enough. And then I would start half marathon training with an injured calf And then that's 12 weeks of pounding, increasing your mileage, just putting a lot of stress on your legs. Like half marathon training is really, we're really going to have to go after it. I think that's just going to be too much, and it's going to be unfortunate because then I won't have the time to let it heal, because either it's then going to be cut half marathon training short, don't do the half marathon, or run injured. And that's going to be my choice. It's going to be run injured. And then there is a chance that half marathon training could make the calf worse. And potentially then I can't run the race, or have to run the race with this, calf that's hurting the entire time. It's just not a good situation. And actually, I mean, it is possible. Like I was saying, like running doesn't make it worse, but it's possible that if I'm running intervals and harder, tempos and races, that is going to make it worse. So, like there's, for example, I was going to do a 5-miler this weekend. That's completely out of the question. I'm not going to run that because I want this to heal now. So that way in the future, I can run pain-free and have a good time running. So anyway, that's it. That's the summary. I hope you all have enjoyed the video. If you have, you guys can like, subscribe, leave a comment if you got any comments or questions or things to say in general. And that's it. And I will see y'all next week with some more updates with how everything's going. I should hopefully be back to running by then. And so that's all. Thanks y'all. Thank you all for watching. I don't know which one it is. Thank you guys for watching. And I will see you very soon with another video in Diary of an Olympic Triathletes. Week 21. It will be next week. See y'all.